Welcome, Defenders, to a special report from the Human Error News Network. Listen closely because what I'm about to tell you might sting just a little bit. Your 99% annual training completion rate? Yeah, that is exactly why your organization is highly likely to suffer a massive breach this year. I know, it sounds totally backward, right? Well, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because we're about to completely tear down everything you thought you knew about security training.
Look, you're frustrated. I completely get it. You have personally chased down every single employee across the entire company. You've finally achieved those perfect, pristine completion scores on your annual security modules, and yet, your people are still out there falling for basic phishing tests. Why is this happening? Well, it's because you are measuring compliance, not actual human behavior. What you've got is a perfectly audit-ready report that is completely and dangerously overstating your actual security posture.
And the cost of that specific mistake? A staggering $4.44 million. According to IBM's cost of a data breach report for 2025, that is the average cost of a breach right now. That massive number isn't just a technical failure, you know? It literally reflects the undetected behavioral risk that's hiding right behind these awareness-only programs. It is the literal cost of ticking a box instead of changing a habit.
Let's dive straight into Chapter 1, the Compliance Theater Trap.
Okay, so we are all stuck in this kind of compliance theater together. We are out here trying to fight 2026 AI deepfakes, highly advanced voice cloning, and hyper-personalized intelligence attacks using what? 2010-era annual multiple-choice videos. It's an absolutely unfair fight, and honestly, we're setting our teams up to fail. We desperately need an architectural shift. Just look at this breakdown. On the left is the old legacy checkbox approach. You know, the static, annual pass-fail quizzes that treat every single employee like they're an identical risk. But on the right, that's modern behavioral risk management. This is about continuous simulation, dynamic behavioral telemetry, and truly role-based training. It's basically the difference between taking a driving test once a decade versus having an AI co-pilot sitting next to you every single time you get behind the wheel.
The absolutely crucial point here is understanding the psychological mechanism behind why this fails. Enter the Ebbinghaus Forgetting Curve. This is a very well-established cognitive science pattern showing that people forget roughly 70% of new information within just 24 hours. I mean, really think about the implications of that for a second. Your annual training is structurally incompatible with how the human brain actually retains risk protocols. By day 2, the knowledge has severely degraded, and by month 6, it's virtually gone. Poof. Which brings us nicely to Chapter 2, Beating the Forgetting Curve.
As a security architect, I spend my days analyzing what actually functionally reduces human layer risk. Looking deep into the 2026 adaptive security trend data, here's exactly how behavioral science overrides that memory decay we just talked about. First off, micro-learning modules, under 10 minutes. Keep it short, sharp, and relevant. Second, spaced repetition. You have to rebuild those memory traces before they completely degrade. Third, just-in-time contextual triggers. And fourth, this one is massive, positive reinforcement, not punitive shaming. Nudge theory consistently outperforms punishment when you're looking for sustained behavior change. If you shame an employee for clicking a bad link, you're going to trigger avoidance and secrecy, not vigilance.
All right, moving on to Chapter 3, the AI native threat rotation.
Let me pause and ask you a quick question. How on earth can a static annual module teach an employee to recognize an AI-generated attack vector that literally didn't even exist when the training content was written? Spoiler alert, it can't. Generative AI has compressed the time required to build a convincing spear phishing campaign from weeks down to hours. So we need to fix this together. Let's design a continuous monthly training rotation strategy. Check this out. Month 1, we hit email spear phishing and business email compromise hard. Month 2, we rotate over to voice cloning and vishing. Month 3, we tackle AI-driven deepfake video fraud. Doing this keeps your defense just as agile as the adversaries attacking you. And hey, by the way, if you want to implement this exact rotation, make sure you join our Defenders Network to grab all the tools you'll need to pull it off.
Next up, Chapter 4, Telemetry-Triggered Microlearning. Okay, let's reset the narrative for a second and look at real-time interventions. What exactly should we do the exact millisecond an employee clicks a malicious link? Waiting for next quarter's scheduled HR enrollment? That's completely unacceptable. Instead, we need to use a telemetry trigger loop. Here's how it works. Step 1, an employee clicks a bad link or fails a simulation. Step 2, their dynamic individual risk score updates automatically in the system behind the scenes.
Step 3. A contextual micro-learning module launches immediately. Boom. We are delivering the critical lesson at the exact moment of relevance, connecting that risky behavior directly to the real-time correction.
Now for the fun stuff. Chapter 5. Board-ready ROI dashboards.
Okay, so we've got the behavioral science down perfectly, but here is the real challenge. How do you explain behavioral telemetry to a board member who, let's be honest, still types with 2 fingers? Operational metrics only justify your budget when they are translated into financial language. So I want to empower you with this exact template. Seriously, take a screenshot of this right now. We absolutely have to translate technical signals into board language. Take fish susceptibility, which is your click rate versus report rate. To the board, you call that breach likelihood reduction. What about OSINT exposure, meaning the public profile data scraped by attackers? To the executives, that translates to a reduced attack surface. And that human risk score powered by our dynamic telemetry, that is literally dollar expected loss reduction. This is exactly how you summarize highly complex risk data into a clean, high-level dashboard.
Let's break those financial metrics down even further so you have the full picture. If you anchor your data against IBM's benchmark, a 10% breach probability reduction equals over $400,000 in expected loss reduction. You can then correlate that dollar value risk reduction directly back to those risk score improvements you're tracking. And ultimately, when you compare the total cost of your adaptive program against the catastrophic cost of just a single incident, well, your budget doesn't just get approved, it gets heavily championed by the board.
And finally, Chapter 6, your risk reduction blueprint.
We are in the final push here, Defenders. You now have a very clear roadmap to abandon legacy compliance and adopt a true AI-native human risk management system. But as a CISO, I need you to internalize this quote right here, because it is the absolute core thesis of everything we do. Read it with me. Compliance metrics and human risk metrics are not the same number. Treating them as equivalent is how organizations get breached. We simply have to stop measuring what employees learned and start measuring what employees actually do under real cyber attack conditions.
Make sure you share this blueprint with your executive leadership team today. This has been a special explainer report from the Human Error News Network. But hey, before you log off and go about your day, I want you to ask yourself one chilling question. What AI threat is silently bypassing your 2FA right this very second? You might think your perimeter is totally secure, but the next wave of attacks, they don't care about your technical controls at all. Stay vigilant, Defenders.